Welcome back in 3HL 104.5 The Zone. Day 2 of SEC Media Days, live from Dallas. Brent Doherty, Don Davenport, and Ron Slay. Marty Smith joins us now at the table. Marty, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm great.
First,
this is such a circus.
It always is.
Here's the thing, though, like off the top, like, so you're being interviewed by all kinds of people like us, but you're also interviewing coaches, players, and like, how challenging is this week for you?
It's
because it's different to be a guest and a host.
Yeah, being a ghost is a real thing.
You're not that, are you?
I am very pale, so there is that part. It is an interesting week because I consider it such a blessing that in this week where these coaches and players are pulled in so many different directions, all of them take time to sit down with my colleague Ryan McGee and me, and we know the what. Everybody knows the what. We like learning the who.
Yes.
We like learning the who and the how.
And the why.
And the why.
Yeah.
And so that platform affords us that. And then we take these interviews, which are 20-ish minutes long each. And then our great producer, Alex Gajewski, takes all that. And it used to be an East-West deal. We do an East show and a West show, but now we're doing it alphabetically. It's going to be
rappers?
Bama through Ole Miss. And then, we're right. Yeah. But it's just such a blessing for me. I'm very fulfilled by learning about who these people are and how they got to where they are.
Marty Smith, Marty and McGee, among others.
I feel like the coaches and the players appreciate it too. It's not, you don't do the X's and the O's talk. It's a little bit more than that. What's kind of the reaction to you and McGee? I mean, we guys love you and have you on our show all the time, but what's the coaches and the players' reactions to you?
They do enjoy it.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. We interviewed Lane Kiffin here on day one. Of course, he just lost his father, Monty, who's an icon.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he made it real clear, which I did not know, because we're sort of in a cave over here in our own little room.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not hearing the main room commentary. I didn't realize that he wasn't terribly comfortable talking about his father yet, because it's still such acute emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say this as an aside for the gentlemen out there listening. If you've lost your dad, and I don't care what your relationship is with your dad, whether he's your best friend, whether y'all fight like crazy, you don't get along, your dad's a compass. If the truck don't start, you call Dad. If the roof's leaking, you call Dad. If you need financial help, you call Dad. And when he dies, all of a sudden that compass is just spinning. And you don't realize it until he's gone. And that's certainly what happened to me. And so Lane's going through that right now real time, and then he has to face thousands of journalists who want his acute emotion on that. Well, I didn't know that. And so when he sat down in our chair, I said to him, I know you have a wonderful football team coming back. There are going to be many people who pick you guys to have an opportunity to win a championship and potentially a national championship if you stay healthy. But to me, one of the most beautiful aspects of college football is fathers and sons and the generational impact of the games and the experience on families. And I said, you just lost your dad. How do you define his impact on you and your evolution as person and as leader? And he kind of sat back in his chair and he said, man, I don't think I want to talk about this today because I don't think I can. And I said, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
And then he started talking.
Yeah.
And he kept going, and he kept going. And so McGee asked a question, and my next question, he sat back in his chair again, and he goes, I'm just going to say again, I didn't expect to talk about my dad today, but I want you to know this has been therapeutic for me, so thank you.
Wow.
And he was visibly emotional.
Dawn saw him
I
yesterday.
saw him, and I was like, he's struggling. He was wearing it on his face, like knowing Kiff forever and covering him forever. When he walked by, I could tell how hard this moment was for him in this day.
You can't prepare for that.
Yeah.
No.
Whether that's mom or dad, best friends, those relationships in our daily walks feel like forever relationships. And so when it hits you that way, as it's hitting Lane, there's just no preparation for it. I lost my mom when I was 20. I lost my dad when I was 30.
Wow.
And so I understand what that is. And I genuinely feel for him. I wrote him a text last night, and I just thanked him for his vulnerability and for his transparency and his emotion, because that's hard to do. When you're a public figure like he is, it's a very difficult thing to stand up in front of people and be able to articulate that emotion. So grateful for him.
Well, and the
such
other
a personality,
yes,
too.
and the other part of that is, like, your message is going to lots of people that are dealing with that situation.
I've learned that, bro.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to. And so, like, hearing these stories about what people are going through that maybe you don't think about them when you see him on the sideline throwing his play sheet up. You know what I mean?
You
like,
think he's bigger than life.
We always talk about what we're doing, and the people that are listening to us are going through tremendous adversity.
Right.
And, you know, you try to respect that and tell stories and be as honest as you can.
We tend to, I don't want to blanket because it's not fair. In a lot of cases, we tend to look at people like that, whether that's coaching leaders, the athletes themselves, Ron can speak to this, as commodities or assets, not human beings. And they're human beings.
Yep.
And those athletes, those young men and women who we analyze constantly, especially collegiate athletes. I remember talking to C.J. Stroud about this his last year at Ohio State. They're human beings, and they have real emotion. And when they all of them get on that damn social media, all of them. And they see what's said about them. If they had a bad night, and I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
Even, like, I'm 48 years old. I tend not to look at it because it hits me right in the insecurities I have. My greatest insecurity is I like to be liked.
Yeah.
And in our job, that's impossible.
Yeah. If you're doing it right, not everybody's going to like you.
But to be honest, like, that's part of what led us all to these jobs.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Well, I was for a long time driven by that insecurity.
Yeah.
And it's funny to me how I've learned throughout this walk that I feel like ego and insecurity walk hand in hand, and self-confidence and humility walk hand in hand. And I've tried to evolve in that way as I've made my way through it, and I hope I have.
Marty Smith, ESPN, SEC
How about this
Network.
therapy session?
Marty,
I know. We didn't expect it to turn
half
into
of
this.
Nashville,
but
Tennessee is in
listen,
tears.
But listen, back to your point, you don't know, you have no idea what anyone's going through that's listening to this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
So, like, Lane has a particular message, and I know it's hard on him, but I also know from what you said that, you know, the therapeutic thing was real.
It's very real.
Yeah.
So you're welcoming, on a lighter note, SEC.
Yeah, transition.
Yeah, it's cool. SEC,
Hit it, Slay.
you're talking about family and friends. You're talking about family, what they mean to you, but now you got to welcome two distant cousins that have been adopted now into the SEC.
Very potent distant cousins.
Yes.
Yeah. How do you expect the welcome to be rolled out when they go into these different atmospheres and environments?
I think it's wonderful.
Yeah.
I think those two brands fit perfectly. I don't know that there's any other brands in the country that could make this transition the way that these two can. They're in the contiguous footprint already. They have extremely high-level athletic departments, not just football programs. You look at OU. Patty Gasso's won 4 consecutive national titles. I had the blessing of interviewing her. I wrote a book last year called Sideline CEO, where I interviewed 20 championship coaches about leadership. And it's who's who. Yeah. It's Saban, Dabo, Kirby, Doc Rivers, Roy Williams, Mac Brown, on and on. It's who's who. 55 championships among them. And I interviewed Coach Gasso for that. She blew my doors off, man. And she's won 8 titles now.
Yeah.
All right. Brent Venables, I've known him since back in the Clemson days.
Yeah.
He came into Oklahoma, and he has put his culture. It is his culture, buddy. It is his. And they're going to come in. They got a good quarterback. I think they're going to compete early.
Jackson
I
Arnold,
definitely expect – he's great.
Yeah.
And I expect that out of Texas, too. Of course, they made the playoff last year. I love Sark going back to vulnerability. That is his superpower.
Oh, for sure.
He's
been through some stuff.
But he's owned the way he has owned it.
Yeah.
It speaks to the player level. These days, you got to meet these young men and women where they are.
You bet them. We talk about it all the
And
time.
Sark is brilliant at it. And so he's got a great team. I expect them to contend for the championship. I still think Georgia's the standard by which everyone else is measured. Kirby's built a superpower. So, But yeah, they're gonna be good in everything, man.
Look at Texas's schedule. I think they're going undefeated.
It's cake.
Oh,
I really do.
You think they'll beat
for
Georgia at
SEC.
home?
I think they'll beat Georgia at home.
That's a hell of a statement.
Yeah. I mean, those
Set
are
up
those
nice.
are the two.
Marty does not agree with you.
Yeah.
Those are the two programs, and it's at Texas, and the first big SEC thing like that. That's going to be an event.
It is going to be an unbelievable event, and that weekend is crazy. Formula One is also at COTA.
Oh, is that right?
So they're going to do the Georgia and Texas game Saturday night, and then Sunday afternoon they'll be running the Formula One race right down the street.
That's
going to be a
incredible.
wild weekend in Austin, Texas.
It's crazy how
Who's
Formula
producing
One
them
is growing.
shows?
So I know you're in that race world. You're down that path too.
Well, I'll tell you, they really hit an unbelievable opportunity during COVID. Formula One did, as it pertains contextually to the United States of America. Globally, it's huge.
Yeah.
But in the U.S., it wasn't.
Right.
And then during COVID, we were all on lockdown. We were all trying to figure out things to do. We were all binge watching Tiger King and Ozark. And they
Korean
had that,
baseball.
right.
Yeah.
And they had that drive to survive on.
Right.
Yeah.
And so many of us with our cold beers, which, holy smokes, I drank 9 million beers during COVID. But we all watched that, and they did a great job of selling the conflict. Conflict always sells. And everybody became really taken by Formula One, and it's really continued on from that point. So, yeah, they're in a good place in the U.S., man.
So I had one question written down for you, and I'm going to hit you with it now.
Great.
Marty Smith, ESPN, SEC Network, Marty McGee. Who is quarterback one in the SEC? Is it Carson Beck? Is it Quinn Ewers? Is it someone else?
I think it's Carson.
Yeah.
I really like Jackson Dart a lot as
I do
well.
too. Did you see him yesterday?
He's
I mean,
got a
he's-
swagger.
That kid is so pretty.
Yeah.
I said it to him.
Hey,
Marty,
Todd-
he's
hey,
got like the frosted tips,
I
man.
talked to him
Put
about
the frosted back.
Yeah.
I interviewed him. What is the process of creating that masterpiece?
Green suit, green shoes.
I mean, he had the whole thing going on.
Gucci, Rolex.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
It looked
he's-
like he
feeling
knocked
good.
over
It's like
Dorothy.
NIL.
NIL looks good.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
unbelievable.
he's got the whole package.
Yeah.
And I can see why he stayed in Oxford, Mississippi,
Yeah.
and did not go to the NFL yet. But he's a really good player too, and he's got
That
like his.
offense, man.
The thing about it with him, what lured him from SC to Ole Miss in the first place was Matt Corral's relationship with Lane.
Yes.
He saw the
Okay.
way that they not only had great synergy as coach quarterback, but they also had a genuine friendship. And I don't know if y'all know the story. I'll tell it quickly. The Matt Corral, Lane Kiffin, we're not drinking this season. I love you, man. Hey, man, how you look that pretty?
Hard.
Roman Harper, by the way.
Roman
For-
Harper, a little love there.
Yes.
One of my best friends right there. I'm going to tell you
Good
something.
dude.
He's always looking sharp.
Yeah.
That is a great man. He is just a wonderful spirit, and I love being around him. I learn from him. I thought I knew football until I met Hart.
Yeah.
And you start watching tape with him, who, of course, won a Super Bowl, played at the highest level. You go, damn, I don't know a thing about football. Because he's showing you what's going on that you don't even know.
Yeah.
And
Different eye.
just love his spirit so much.
Nashville, NASCAR, got to hit you. Just had a race, trying to get the Fairground Speedway going. Could end up with 2 races in Nashville after that long gap of not having one. I never understood why Nashville, as a growing market as it is in this country, one of the fastest growing cities, didn't have NASCAR, and now we may get 2 races.
It didn't make any sense to me either.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 100 people a day, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that the number?
Yeah.
100
For
people
like
a day
the last
moving
10
to
years. Yeah.
moving to Nashville. I love that city. It's one of my favorites. I have business interests in that town. If you guys are making your way to Music City, make sure you go by Chiefs at 2nd and Broadway.
There you go.
Eric Church, baby.
Yep, make sure you go by there. We'd appreciate it. But great Rodney Scott barbecue as well.
Yeah.
But it's a wonderful city, and I love the energy in that city. I wish this was there every year. I do. And
This event. Yep.
Yeah, I wish SEC Media Days was there every year. I understand why they move it around, but
I talked to Sankey one time about it because I was like, Hoover was renegotiating all this. I'm like, we need the SEC baseball tournament too. And he's like, you guys in Nashville, you want everything. I'm like, yeah. Like, you should move your headquarters here. You should move the SEC baseball tournament here. Like, why not?
you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I mean, I love having the hoops tournament there.
Mm-hmm.
We had it in Tampa a couple years ago, and that was different.
Yeah.
It
But you
just-
can just walk outside Bridgestone Arena and
Hit the
there are
bars.
all the
Everything.
bars and the
just
restaurants.
the
and,
energy.
Yeah.
The energy in the city is just electric, and I love it. And I'm a country music, I would say, savant. I'm a little bit nerdy about it.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm a nerd, man.
Yeah.
I know. I love.
You don't turn down like backstage passes or anything.
It's bigger than that. I love the writing process.
Me too.
I got a lot of
creative
buddies.
process.
I got a lot of buddies who are writers.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm super close with a lot of the artists. They're great friends of mine, and I love the whole album production process, all of it. So.
Do you get to go into like one of my?
Yeah, I've been a part of that.
So you go into like a production room, and you're blessed to be in there and just watch these creative people work through a song, and then you hear it on the radio. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Like you take Where the Wild Things Are, which just went #1 for several weeks for Combs. Okay, my buddy Randy Montana wrote that song, and if you hear the demo, and then you hear the album cut, that goes on the radio, it's a completely different experience.
Yeah.
But that's how brilliant the production staffs are to go, okay, we're going to take this brilliant story that Randy has written, and we're going to put Combs's vocal on it, which is generational. And then we're going to produce it in this fashion, and it becomes one of the greatest songs ever.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
But you put those musicians in that room, and they all have different paths, but they're so incredibly gifted. Yep. I mean, it's just – I'm with you on that.
All right,
Didn't
I love
you
y'all.
start in country? You started in country music, or
no?
Didn't you?
No,
Oh, I thought you did.
When I started,
you were a host for a while or something.
When I started to really immerse myself in it was when I got so close with Eric.
Okay.
And this was 20 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But then I started really understanding more what it is. And he's the greatest writer alive.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the greatest writers of all time. And his influence on my life it's beyond measure. He's one of the greatest influences I've had in my walk. He's a stud.
Puts on a great
great
show,
man.
too.
Hey, incredible conversation. I knew it would go everywhere. It always does with you, and we certainly appreciate that, and I know people listening do as well.
Thanks to you guys. Appreciate
right,
y'all.
definitely.
I'm getting ready to go interview Kirby Smart.
There you go.
There you go.
I'll get him. That's a little more important than us.
Yes. Thanks,
Come
Marty.
on now. Don't sell yourself short.
All right, there he is, Marty Smith. More 3HL next on 104.5 The Zone.